Hey, Sean, do you have any idea where Brad is right now?
No, I thought you approved his time off.
Time off. I didn't approve anything. He's just missing, in the wind.
Where is it? Then where is he?
I guess we'll have to do it without him. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is this week a weekly look at the Premier League from two friends who support different clubs. My name is James. I support Arsenal. With me tonight, he's over there today. That's Sean. He supports Tottenham. Brad is missing. He's I guess he's on vacation, something like that. Um, I didn't know we
Hey,
got vacation days. This
I
is
didn't either.
this is news to me. We need to talk to whoever is in charge of HR.
I would
Um,
also like to include that you just found out that Brad was missing and then started the podcast anyway. I just want to
well,
let the show must go on, I
show
guess.
me, yeah, you know.
No remorse. No, let's stop the show and look for our friend.
We're not waiting for Brad. The Red Card Radio stops for no one, for no one,
All right.
except for
All
maybe
right.
me because I've got all the recording setups and everything like that. I don't know.
That's true.
That's true. I'm sure you and Brad could figure it out.
I
Maybe.
could figure it out. What, you need to amend that.
Yes, that's true. It's funny
I would
because
figure it
I've
out.
I've given Brad all of my recording and like setup stuff, and you
Stream
would
key,
you would figure it
all
all
that.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all right. Well, hello everyone.
Hi.
What's going on, loyal listeners? If you're new here, if you could hit that subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell. If YouTube was like, hey, yo, check this out. Thanks so much for clicking the link, and definitely would appreciate if you stuck around. If you're on one of the podcast sites, definitely with a follow, rate it 5 stars if your platform so allows. Leave a comment on YouTube so we can chat about it. We love hearing from you guys. All that stuff, all the things that normal YouTube and podcast people would normally ask you to do. Please also do those things for us. So what we've got kind of set up for you. Of course, this is a normal week of Red Card Radio. We'll have a review of last week's matches today. Tomorrow we will have the news for you, and then on Friday we will preview match week 31 in the Premier League. But what we're doing in this episode tonight, in the review episode, we got all of match week 30 to talk about. We got matches across 2 days, Saturday and Sunday from last week that we need to chat about. Before we get too far, before we get too deep, at how it is here, Sean, we got to look at the Premier League table.
At least we didn't get in the weeds,
Oh, that's the wrong.
which
There
we
we go.
which
Yeah,
we often do.
yeah. It must be Brad's fault when we get into the weeds, right? I
Yeah.
think that's the takeaway.
Specifically his fault.
Always Brad. Everything's Brad's fault, especially when he's not here to defend himself.
Yes.
All right. So, in first position is Arsenal, though the gap between second has shrunk to only 6 points. Manchester City still has a game in hand on Arsenal, as does Newcastle and Manchester. All three of those teams are on 29 games played. City is sole possession of second, leaps and bounds away from the other two. The other two are tied on points at 56, though Newcastle is above Manchester. In fifth, we've got Tottenham Hotspurs. They are 3 points behind both of the Uniteds, however, having played one more game than the other ones. Aston Villa are up to sixth. It's hilarious to me that like maybe 4 weeks ago, we were talking, no, it was like 3 weeks ago, we were talking about Aston Villa vibing in 11th, and now they are firmly in control of sixth, though seventh place Brighton does have 2 games in hand on them. So they could move up the standings. Liverpool are in 8th. Brentford are in 9th. And rounding out the top 10 is Fulham. They are in 10th. 11th is Chelsea. I would say comfortably in 11th, but Crystal Palace is slowly starting to climb the table. Crystal Palace are only 6 points behind Chelsea. Both of them have the same number of games played. 13th is Wolves. Wolves are up to 13th. That's they're putting some distance between them and the relegation zone, so that's good for Wolves. West Ham are in 14th. Bournemouth are in 15th. Leeds fall to 16th. Everton fall to 17th. Nottingham Forest are still in 18th. And then we've got Leicester and Southampton rounding out the bottom two.
I've got my group of oh shit boys is what
Yeah.
I'm going to call them.
Okay.
There was a group of 4 teams that were like, oh shit, we need a win.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace, Wolves, West Ham, and Bournemouth all were like, "Oh shit, we need a win."
What's wild about those teams specifically is like Crystal Palace.
Only
I think
Palace had won before that.
I think we kind of all thought Palace were going to be safe in the long run, but they've got 2 wins now under Roy Hodgson's. Roy Hodgson since he's been back. They scored 5 goals this week, and we will talk about that for at least a moment. Wolves, I thought, were a little bit more precariously placed, but they get a win this week that really helps them out. West Ham have been up and down all season, like they've been all over the place. But it does kind of seem to me that those 3 teams, if I had to guess, I would say that those 3 teams are probably playing themselves into safety. I'm still not necessarily sold on Bournemouth's safety yet.
Big 3 points though.
Yeah, big, huge 3 points. But, I mean, Leeds are playing their way into relegation. Everton, Nottingham Forest, all 3 of those teams definitely need to be scared. Leicester, I'm not sure Leicester get themselves out of this. I kind of think we all are in agreement that Southampton at this point look like they're going to get relegated. Their form is
They
exceptionally
just
bad.
aren't. They just aren't showing signs of life. Like even Leicester are showing signs of life every once in a while.
Yeah.
They'll put up a great match, and you're like, oh, if you could just string those together.
And for the simple fact that it's Leicester, right? Like
Yeah,
Leicester are they've got players. I'm not trying to say that
yeah.
Southampton doesn't also have good players, but I think there's maybe a golfing class in at least my estimation between Southampton and Leicester. But yeah, I think Leicester have legitimate cause to be worried. So I don't know. Maybe this relegation battle is clearing up a little bit. I don't know.
Well,
Um,
I just think that when Southampton get relegated, that we could, in a part of cleaning house,
yeah.
200 million from Kane, we get an extra 30, 40 million out of Hoiberg, and go get Lavia off of relegation.
Well, so it's
Southampton.
Lavia is a does Manchester City have a buyback clause? Because he was at City,
Oh,
wasn't
does
he?
he?
I,
Yes, he
I
was at City.
I was thinking that I heard that they might have a
Uh,
buyback clause,
ah,
which is frustrating, right?
yes.
You hear that and you're like, Sid, dang it. Um, we
Yeah, he was with Anderlecht the year before. City bought him up.
yeah,
Didn't play a single appearance, and I'm trying to see. No, joined Southampton on a 5-year contract.
yeah, but I think that if if
Yeah,
City
it
have
doesn't
a
give any. It
yeah
doesn't give any of the
clauses,
contracts.
and
Yeah,
technically these deals are all. I mean, they're none. It's not publicized the deal, so whether or not he has a buyback clause would be open for speculation anyway. But I feel like I heard this week someone was talking about the fact that he has a buyback clause to City, which would be frustrating.
yeah. If we could just vibe into the sunset with Basuma, Bentancur, Skip, and Lavia, who's gonna like those four. Hoiberg is great. He's getting a little older, but you can't rock with five
No,
people that play the same position.
that's that's
I
too
just want
much.
him so bad. I want him so bad.
And where's the creativity there? Yeah, I mean, friggin' Bentancur is going to be working overtime to try and have some progressive
Maybe
passes in that midfield.
maybe Bentancur's the 10.
Yeah, it'd have to be. Um, Quickly giving you guys a rundown of the specific results from this weekend. So Saturday morning kicked off Manchester United versus Everton. Manchester win the game 2-0. Aston Villa Forest. Villa continue their assault up the Premier League. They win 2-0 against Forest. Brentford United, that's Newcastle United, that is. Newcastle United win 2-1. Fulham West Ham. West Ham get the 1-0 victory away at Craven Cottage. I wonder if Fulham at this point, with their suspensions and all of the unrest from the FA Cup, if they're just kind of like vibing at this point. They don't really. They were so close to getting a European spot. It kind of just seems like the wheels have fallen off the bus for them. Leicester Bournemouth. Bournemouth beat Leicester 1-0. Spurs Brighton. That game ends 2-1. A bit of controversy in this game that we will get to. Sean disagrees. The PGMOL does not disagree with you on the controversy aspect of it. Wolves, Chelsea. Frank Lampard's first day back, and they lose 1-0 to Wolves.
Should have just kept Potter.
Yeah, right? Like, it was really, like, It's ridiculous. Anyway, Manchester City, Southampton. City win 4-1 away on the South Coast. Leeds Palace ends 5-1 for Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace put 5 past Leeds in the second half. Absolute madness. And the Liverpool Arsenal game, quite a fun match for the neutral to watch. A little bit less fun for me to watch because it was stressful. Arsenal go up 2-0 in the first half. Liverpool pull one back. Game ends 2-2, and
I've got
all
a
three of us were
fun
wrong.
I got a fun question for you when we get to that one. Just a
Yes.
little teaser for later in the pod. I got a fun question for you.
All right. I look forward to all the fun questions. I think, however, we want to start at the new White Hart Lane, talking about Spurs and Brighton.
Yeah, listen, all you need to know is that we wake up in the morning and we pig excellence, okay? If you're not first, you're last. We went out there and we were first, so Brighton are last, and that's all you need to know about what happened.
Yeah, shut it down. Close it down. Just quick point of news that emanated from this match is that after the match, the PGMOL, Howard Webb, and the boys they had to have a phone call with Brighton and apologize for a penalty that Brighton should have had when the game was 1-1. Højbjerg brought Matoma down in the box. And so they should have had a penalty. It was pretty clear. It was funny. The English world feed, the color commentator was F. Akoko, and he was just flabbergasted the entire time for like 15 straight minutes. He was just like, I can't believe they didn't give a penalty there. How did they not give a penalty there? It's a clear penalty. What's VAR doing here? So I will say, if you haven't seen it, if you go to YouTube and you type Matoma penalty, Brighton.
That's all I typed.
Yeah, Brighton.
It's like the top 3 things. Yeah.
Brighton has a short that you can watch. So pause the video, go watch that, and then come back and hear Sean somehow defend this in some roundabout way.
So welcome back from your pause.
Yep.
It's a soft penalty, but it's probably a penalty in every game. He gets the foot. Matoma's already almost going to ground anyway. I think that's what works against him, is that he's already touched the ball away from him, and then he's going to get it, and it is almost leaning towards the ground. I think that's what works against him when you do it in slow motion and you have freeze frames, that he's already going to ground when his foot gets hit. It almost looks like. That's probably what works against him, but it's a penalty. It is.
Yeah, so I see what you're saying. At first, when you watch it the first time, you're kind of like, oh, Matoma goes down way too easy there. But then when you watch it back and you see that Højbjerg gets a leg in, and then it kind of they hit each other.
He just hangs it up in front of him.
Yeah,
and then he kind of hangs it there because Matoma's kind of playing with the ball. Then he decides, okay, I'm going to take a step and pulls it back. And he just goes down. His foot goes down to where Matoma's foot is.
Yeah, and he traps Matoma's foot, and that's really the trip. That's really the foul.
That's the penalty.
They had I don't know if it's like upper leg contact beforehand, which seems a little clumsy, but seems pretty tame. But it's when Matoma's foot is planted and Højbjerg's toe comes down on it, and he traps him. Like, that's the part that makes it a penalty. It's a foul, literally, on any other part of the pitch.
VAR should have caught that 10 years ago. It's not a foul. They would have moved on with their life, and no one would have complained a bit. But when you go back and look at it on VAR, having watched it full speed, you have to give that.
And that's the problem. Is it like 10 years ago, in a world before VAR, you could look at that and be like, Brighton are unlucky to get that penalty, but you can see why the referee didn't give it. But in a world that we live in with VAR, and the expectation is that you get calls right, it's indefensible. In that you look at that VAR looks at that and doesn't get it right. Like, it's incomprehensible to me that you can't get that right. Now, there's no guarantee that Brighton score the penalty. It's 1-1 at the time. But I think, odds are pretty good. I don't know what the XG on a penalty is, but I would imagine it's, north of 0.9.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah. The McAllister handball was 100% a handball. Unfortunately for McAllister. Hits for just reference. When you look at the back view, it could have been this hand or this hand, but his elbow is against his body, but his hand is not. And the ball hits hits his wrist.
Doesn't it hit his hip? I don't
No,
know.
it's somewhere right around here that it hits.
I think
So
it's
it's you
lower.
can't
I
tell.
thought it was lower than his arm.
No, and it had the ball not struck him in that area, it would not have deflected the way it did that made Lloris miss it. So having affected the play in such a manner, that has to be given as a handball.
Well, yeah. If it touches his hand, no one is upset if it touches his hand and they call it a handball.
I guess in an NFL sense, it was hard from the angles that were shown on TV, at least, of being inconclusive evidence that it was a handball.
Yeah, there was no conclusive evidence to overturn the call.
It really looked
Yeah.
like from behind, who took it? Welbeck. Behind Welbeck, it looked like it 100% would have hit the hand, but then you see the shot from
All right.
behind Lloris, and you can't tell
I
if
have a,
it hits the
I have
hand
a
or not.
question because I don't remember at this point. There's been a lot of football between now and then. But was the goal given on the field or was handball called on the field?
Goal was on the field.
Okay, and so they overturned it and
Yeah,
definitively said that it touched
yes,
his
that's
hand.
why I said inconclusive
Okay,
evidence.
so no, there was conclusive evidence that it touched his hand.
That's what they said. Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
they decided. It clearly took a deflection. It
Certainly.
clearly was right near his hand. Right, and his elbow was against his body. His wrist was not. It was like this.
Yeah. But I think I don't know. At least from the back video, I don't know. What I saw is it's like a video from behind, and so yeah, you see his arm. You see his arm there, but it kind of looks like it hits his hip, like the ball is underneath. I don't know. You probably watched it more. You probably watched it more
It
times than I
could.
did.
And then you look at it from the goal, and his left arm is like this.
Yeah.
You look at it from the goal, it could have came off that one.
Oh,
Like it's really hard to tell.
I have to go back and look at that one again. But I really think the one that Brighton feel most aggrieved about is
Sure.
the non-penalty call because
Sure.
1-1. I'll be honest, like I turned it on around that time when the penalty wasn't called. But it seemed like Brighton were significantly more interested in playing and trying to win the game than Spurs were. I think Kane scored on a it was like a
Kane scored.
it was like a breakaway.
What Brighton? What Brighton's
wasn't it a
fans should
counterattack?
what Brighton's fans should be aggrieved about is that Hoiberg made a simple slow up and cut back pass that no Brighton player deemed that they needed to be anywhere near Harry
Yeah.
Kane for 30 yards.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I thought it was a counterattack, and that's
Yeah,
why he had the space.
he got the ball, took about 2 steps, and picked his spot. Like
Kane
what
had
do
so much space.
yeah, Kane's gonna score that 20 out of 20 times.
Yeah, it was insane. Like you can't. He's one of the most prolific goal scorers in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Now he did get a little bit of a deflection off a Brighton player, which may have helped him take it away from the goalkeeper a little bit. But
That goal's getting
oh
scored.
no, it wasn't a counterattack. What it was a goal kick. It was a goal kick that was really poorly taken, and Kane won the header, and then Spurs were attacking.
Dunked it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I remember now.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's a huge result for Spurs. If we look at the table, because
It
Brighton,
really helps us.
you guys would have been at 50 points. Brighton would be at 49 with 2 less games played. Like
2 games in hand. Yeah.
yeah, 2 games in hand. That would have been huge for Brighton. And I really think Brighton have a really good reason to feel aggrieved at this point. I mean, like, especially if they miss out on any of the European football. Now, of course, they can still catch Aston Villa and get into the Europa League spot fairly easily because of their games in hand. But, I think that they could have, if they could have finished 5th, like that'd be a crazy season for Brighton, especially after Chelsea eviscerated their coaching staff in September, to be able to then turn around, get De Zerbi, and play the way they played for the rest of the season. That's an incredible season.
One last note before we move on is the coaching thing I mentioned in the text.
Oh yeah.
Both coaches got a red card. Now it's hard to see from the broadcast what was going on, but De Zerbi was aggressive all game, and one of the announcers made the comment while Stellini was standing away from the action, not making any eye contact with the action. That De Zerbi apparently made it. That this is the announcer's words. De Zerbi made it clear for Stellini to keep his mouth closed today, something along those lines. And De Zerbi was in the scrum. Stellini was standing alone 10 yards from the scrum, not even facing it, just
Yeah.
staring out towards the field. And then they both get a red card. Now, I did say in the group, I said both get a red card because you didn't control your staff. Like
Yeah.
that's a red card for failure to maintain the sideline.
Yeah, it's like they used to give like technical fouls to the benches, or like
Yeah.
they used to give yellow cards to the benches in soccer, but now they'll give yellow cards specifically to players on the bench or coaches on the bench. I think if a coach gets a yellow card, they have to go sit in the stands. They're not allowed to get out of their seat anymore. And if the manager gets a yellow card, like obviously it's just like they can still prowl their touchline, but yeah, now they give specific coaches, specific players yellow cards on the bench.
Does De Zerbi and Cellini both got yellows, and it was funny if you watch it back. If you watch the highlight back, just fast forward to that scrum, and they give out the reds. De Zerbi gets the first one, sends him over, comes over to Stellini, and the touchline camera is in Stellini's face, and he gets the red from his left, and then he does one of these.
Right at the camera.
Yeah, right at the camera where he's just stunned. Like, what?
Yeah, I was very confused when I turned it on and Ryan Mason was prowling the touchline. I was like, what is the dynamic here between Stellini and Ryan? I didn't realize that Stellini had been
one coach
off.
is the first half, one coach is the second. No, he
like,
got to.
Does Ryan Mason coach the home games? Like, what's going on?
De Zerbi seemed to be the aggressor. 100%. Yes. He was getting feisty before that. Before I guess the assistants took offense to it, and Tottenham's assistants started pushing back on that. But
De Zerbi is an aggressive man. He's got that Italian fire in his belly.
They both got reds, I believe, for failure to maintain control of your staff.
I mean, I'm sure that De Zerbi said something that deserved a red card. Wouldn't surprise
Stellini
me.
was unfazed. He was in his box staring at the field. Look, I'm here to manage, bro.
All right.
You can talk all your chirp.
Let's move along. We'll go up to Liverpool, these Arsenal Liverpool result. So obviously the big winners of this match are Manchester City, because the game ends 2-2 and City had already won at this point in the weekend. So City gained 2 points on Arsenal. This was, I predicted that Liverpool would win this match. I think if you watched this match on the balance of play, Liverpool probably deserved to win the match in terms of the number of chances they created, the number of good chances they created, the number of kind of incredible saves that Aaron Ramsdale had to make in order to keep Arsenal, keep a point for Arsenal. So if you look at it from that perspective, Arsenal are probably happy to have at least a point there. But it's hard to say that and feel that way when you're up 2-0 at Anfield and then you only walk away with 1 point. I've heard it described that this was the best the second half was the best football that Liverpool's played all season. And I could believe it. I haven't watched Liverpool enough to be able to make that claim myself. But of the matches that I've watched from Liverpool, they were imposing in the second half. It was the Liverpool that I was afraid of playing in the second half. The Liverpool the first half were getting walked.
Herein lies my question.
Okay.
Fun question. Are you mad at Granit Xhaka for pissing off Liverpool?
Not in the slightest. Because
it was from that moment on, they just decided bleep Arsenal and everything they claim.
This is a media narrative in order to scapegoat Granit Xhaka as the
villain. Media narrative.
It is a media narrative.
They played 100% better after that moment.
Okay, but Trent was on a yellow card for the rest of the match up against Martinelli, so that's difficult. And at the same time, they scored off of some terrible back post defense. Their goal did come directly after that, but it's like the idea is like, oh, Granit Xhaka ignited Anfield, and he lit a match under Anfield, and then after that, Anfield erupted. Anfield was just as silent after the yellow cards. What ignited Anfield was the fact that they scored a goal. It wasn't the fact they weren't like
players got fired up, not Anfield.
I think if Arsenal do a better job clearing their lines and Mo Salah isn't left alone on the back post and they don't score a goal there, then the game is different. So do I blame Granit Xhaka? No, I'd rather Granit Xhaka play every game with that same fire in his belly that he does
No,
than
you want
be
him to
more
do what he did
passive.
there.
Yes. I mean, like,
The, the,
is it? I really think that's mostly media narrative, and I really do believe that.
the fun question is, why does Martinelli hate Liverpool?
I don't know, but I love it. I've been
He's both games this year, both ties. He has scored what in the first 90 seconds in the first 8 minutes
yeah.
in each one. He scored in the first 8 minutes of both games.
I think he had maybe his first crossing assist as well in this match. I read some stat that was like Martinelli has had 50 crosses this season so far and hasn't connected for a goal on any of them. And then today or not today, but on Sunday he had a cross to Gabriel Jesus, and Jesus was able to score it. An easy header. I don't know. So the real takeaway is that Konate had a massive game. He was Virgil for Liverpool. Like Virgil Virgil was still 2023 Virgil, but Konate was 2019 Virgil on Sunday.
Yeah,
Like Konate was
I,
a beast at the
I
back.
saw a point of the game. I believe Virgil took down. I believe it was Martinelli, but it was on the far sideline from the camera, heading left to right, and
Was that
the
when
play.
Virgil got the yellow?
Yes,
That he took
I
down
believe it was it Martinelli?
Jesus. He took down Gabby Jesus.
Jesus. Okay, so just a little stutter step to get Van Dijk to commit, and then a touch forward and gone. And Virgil's just too slow
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
and he just takes the stab with the first leg, misses, and then swipes with the left
Just to
with the
take him
with
out.
the get just to take out. Like, I'm behind you, just take him out.
Yeah.
It was a clear yellow, and
Yep.
Virgil didn't argue it. He's
No.
not going to argue that. He's a professional. He knows what he did. He took him down professionally. He didn't hurt the guy.
Yep.
Just, I can't allow you to go down the wing. So
Yep.
here we are.
Yep. I don't. So like, I, I guess my big takeaway. Am I disappointed that Arsenal didn't win? Absolutely. But my expectations were Arsenal are going to lose this match. And I wasn't saying that last week to be pessimistic and some like reverse psychology voodoo magic. Like, if I say Arsenal are going to, like I legitimately thought Arsenal were going to lose because of second half Liverpool. Second half Liverpool existed obviously because they produced it, and and they could turn up at any point. The question this season is why they haven't turned up and why they've been inconsistent at best. And I was always afraid that Liverpool would show up from the start and it would be a difficult game for Arsenal. I thought Arsenal played well, but
Well, you made a comment, and I will echo Joel's sentiment. You made a comment that you would take 4 points out of 5 if you had told you at the beginning of this, 4 points out of 6.
yeah,
If you had told you at the beginning of the year against Liverpool, you would take that.
yeah,
And I agree with you. At the beginning of the season, you would take that.
yeah,
However, in April, when you're leading the league and they are fledgling in 8th, you don't take that. To
yeah.
Joel's point, you don't take that.
But
You beat the 8th place team.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But the 8th place team is Liverpool, and Liverpool just put 7 past. They just put 7 past United, like 3 weeks ago. So it's not like this. Yes, they rolled over against City last week. But it was at Manchester. Anfield is a different place to play. It's a different beast, and I'm not trying to say that like. I don't know. It's a different piece to play at Anfield, and Liverpool are still good. Anyone who thinks the only reason why Liverpool are poor this season is because they themselves play poorly. It's not that they don't have the skill. It's not that they don't have the tactics. It's because they themselves just decide, that's their is their mentality for the season.
I'm just going to put a blanket disclaimer for all. I've been saying it for a while. Both basketball, the winter sports, both basketball and world football are tired. Like Luca said it in the NBA. I've just played 3 straight years of basketball with no break. And the only break I had, I chose to play basketball for free for my country.
Yeah.
and so World Cup and Euro people are in the same boat. Like they're
Oh,
only off time. They chose to play for their country for
well,
free.
you don't even get a choice for like in football. Like if you get called up and you don't go, you can get suspended from your club.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
you have no
it was
choice in the matter.
even still. So, but like, yeah, there's tons of people that have finally have off time and then have
But
to play for their country for
what,
free. Well, they
especially
don't play. They don't play for free, but
like if you look at European football players that play in European football leagues who play for their national team and their national team was involved in the World Cup, they've essentially, especially if you look like European players, like
three
they,
straight years of
yeah,
playing
it's
without
almost
stopping.
nonstop after the COVID
Because the
break.
COVID year everything was compressed back. Then you go into Euro. Then you go into the season. That's a compressed season. Then you go into World Cup. Then you got another compressed
And
season because we're trying to fit the World Cup in the middle of it.
now now our season's going to go long. It's going to go late into end of May into early June,
Yeah,
and then they've got Euro qualifiers. All they got like Euro qualifiers in the summer, and then preseason starts mid July. So it's like
yeah.
there's 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks in the summer that they're off in quotations, and they've got European qualifiers in there. So it's like yeah, there's no like literally no time off. And then next
Yeah.
summer is the Euro tournament. So like it's just like and then after the Euro
It,
tournament, then they have World Cup qualifiers. So it's just like
it's
there's too much
no
football.
break. It's no break.
Long story short, we need to get rid of the Carabao Cup. That's the real takeaway from this. Um, okay. Quick wrap up. Manchester United 2-0 against Everton. Expected, but I think Rashford has gone down with an injury. I'm not sure how bad that injury is. I don't have an update, but he did have to come off in that match. He looked to be in quite a bit of pain when he came off, but he did walk off. But
I got an update for you for the Newcastle game.
yeah, yeah.
Um, we didn't get a ton. We didn't get to watch a ton of them before he got hurt. Isaac is so good.
Oh yeah,
Or Isak. Isak.
yeah. I think it's Isak.
He's so good,
Yeah.
man.
Well,
He's just fluid.
Arsenal were linked with him last summer, and
He's just lanky and fluid.
he's good.
It's like a young Thierry. So he's just like lanky and just smooth with the ball.
Less fast, but
You know,
less
he's also
fast, less smooth.
young. Like
Yeah,
who
true.
knows? He hasn't put on weight. He hasn't put on muscle yet.
You want to know what my big takeaway from this Newcastle situation was when Anthony Gordon got subbed off, and the
I said
petulant
that
petulant reaction he had.
after
Joel,
a good game.
yeah, I'll be interested to hear Joel what your take is on Gordon. Like
There's no reason for that.
yeah, it seemed, and Eddie Howe didn't let him get away with it. Like Eddie Howe like pulled him in, and like Gordon tried to walk away, and Eddie Howe pulled him back in and like said his piece to him before he sat down. So like I think it'd be really interesting to hear.
I saw if you watch that video again, pay attention when he gets to his seat, he almost takes his jersey off.
Oh really?
And I think someone either said something to him or he thought better of it. Because they were at James, right?
No, they were away. They were at Brentford.
Okay. But even still, you don't want a new club to see you take the jersey off
I think it's an acceptable thing to take your jersey off if you're gonna
if
like.
you didn't just argue with the manager.
Yes, exactly, exactly. It's the context. It's the
Yeah.
context.
Yeah.
Um,
He was like one of
yeah,
it
yeah.
was like one of those.
Um, hilariously, can we talk about Chelsea real quick? So I have a bit of a trivia question for you.
Okay.
So
We're throwing trivia. So
yeah,
to Jimmy's point, we're just throwing trivia wherever we want.
Jimmy,
Nowadays.
I apologize to you. But Erling Haaland this week scored his 30th goal. Chelsea Football Club, as a team in the Premier League, have only scored 29 goals this season. So Erling Haaland has already scored more goals than Chelsea has scored as an entire club. How many clubs? First off, can we just laugh at Chelsea for a second because that's hilarious? But on top of that, do you know how many clubs Erling Haaland has outscored so far this season?
So I have to look at the rundown and the table. So
Yeah.
naturally, my eyes wander. The tally is 8, I believe.
Yeah. Could you name them?
So I do know
Chelsea's obviously one of them.
Chelsea is obviously one of them. So there are seven others. So Southampton,
Yeah, obviously. Yep.
uh, let's go. All right, come on, Sean. Wolves,
Yes.
Everton,
Everton. Yes.
West Ham.
West Ham. Yes.
Who else is down there? Leeds.
Leeds is yes. Wait, no. Leeds is no.
Leeds is no. All right, so I'm out. So I got the five.
All right. So the teams are in no particular order: Chelsea, Crystal Palace,
Ah,
Wolves, West Ham, Bournemouth, Everton, Nottingham Forest, and Southampton.
Forest. Forest is who I was missing.
Yeah, not Leicester, not Leicester, not Leeds. They both those boys score
I
a
knew
lot of
not.
goals.
I knew not Leeds because they had the -12.
Yeah, so, but yeah, let's all have a quick laugh at Chelsea and we kind of said this in our pre-production. It's like, what was the point in firing Potter? Certainly he could do a better job over the last 8 games than Frank Lampard's going to do. But whatever, they made their bed. Now they must sleep.
Well, I got a piece of trivia for you.
Oh, okay.
Harry Kane has as many goals as one team in the Premier League.
What's the team that has 24? Doesn't Harry Kane have 24?
He has 23, and that would be Everton.
Oh, Everton. Oh, okay.
So that's a hey, that's a fun stat. He's
Yeah.
having an incredible season.
He's having an Everton season.
He's having an Everton season
How does
all
that
by himself.
How does that sound?
Well, he also hasn't given up 43 goals, so it sounds pretty good.
All right, that's where we're gonna end it. If you're still listening and you're new here, definitely hit that subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell on the podcast sites, follow us 5 stars, share it with a friend, all those things. Hit us up in the comments. Maybe excoriate Brad for not being here and thinking that he can take vacations. Let us know about your team, what you guys did this week and what your thoughts are. We'd love to hear from you guys. Check back tomorrow. We'll have the news, and then on Friday we will have the preview. Hit us up on Twitter. That guy over there up top with me, because there's no bottom today, is at whiteheart_Sean. I'm at James Tiffany. You can collectively reach us at redcard_radio. And until next time, we will see you guys later. Have a good one, and thanks so much for listening.